Από το Μοντγκόμερι του 1955 και την ιστορία της Ρόζα Πάρκς στην Ιερουσαλήμ και το Τελ Αβίβ του 2012. 57 χρόνια αργότερα η ιστορία επαναλαμβάνεται με το διαχωρισμό ανδρών και γυναικών σε λεωφορεία, δρόμους, νοσοκομεία, να αποτελεί μέρος της καθημερινότητας της θρησκευτικής κοινότητας των Υπέρ-Ορθόδοξων Εβραίων.
We have started dealing with segregation on public buses around 2002. We have been receiving different reports of women who tried to board a public bus. They thought it was a simple, normal public bus. And when they sat up front, usually the passengers started to harass them, telling them to move to the back of the bus, or telling them they're not dressed modestly enough. Sometimes the bus drivers also participated and told the women, you know, you have to sit in the back of the bus because this is a special bus line that is supposed to serve the ultra-Orthodox community. And therefore, there are different norms according to which you have to behave. And women who did not abide by those rules were usually harassed. Usually they were subject to verbal violence. In extreme cases, one or two, there were cases of physical violence. But of course, being subject to a whole bus that is screaming on you because you're just simply sitting in the front of the bus is not a very nice experience.
Στο κέντρο της Ιερουσαλήμ βρίσκεται η Μέα Σεαρίμ, μια συνοικία στην οποία ο λόγος του Θεού υπερισχύει των νόμων του Ισραήλ, το οποίο έτσι κι αλλιώς δεν αναγνωρίζεται από τη συγκεκριμένη θρησκευτική εβραϊκή κοινότητα. Οι σημαίες της Παλαιστίνης κυριαρχούν και ο σιωνισμός αποτελεί κόκκινο πανί ως ιδεολογία. Άντρες και γυναίκες σε βίους παράλληλους, που δεν συναντιούνται, με κώδικες συμπεριφοράς και τισίματος εντός και εκτός του σπιτιού.
In the last year or two, the demand for segregation has expanded to many other areas as well. And we have been dealing with issues of segregation in cemeteries, where men and women are supposed to stand in a segregated way during the burial ceremony, or in extreme cases, women are not allowed even to take part in the burial process. They're not allowed to stand next to the grave, even if it's their own relative. In some cases, women were not allowed to say eulogies, you know, to say something in memory of the person who died. We are also taking care of segregation in medical clinics. In some ultra-Orthodox neighborhoods, some of the medical clinics operate either different buildings for men and women or one building with separate sitting areas, and this is also illegal.
Η Σόνια Ρόζαμπρεκ ξεκίνησε ένα πρωί από το Ασδότ για την Ιερουσαλήμ. Η μέρα της όμως δεν εξελίχθηκε όπως τη φανταζόταν.
I wanted to go from Ashdod, that's my hometown, to Jerusalem, and I got on a bus in a religious neighborhood. The driver didn't want to stop, or he didn't want to stop, but he didn't think I wanted to board the bus because he figured that only Haredis, who are Orthodox religious people, boarded that bus. So eventually he stopped, we had a discussion, I told him that I didn't know where I was going exactly, so he helped me, I sat behind him, and we continued the drive. And then when people started boarding the bus, they looked at me funny and continued with their business, going to the back. But one person just decided to make a riot, so he didn't let the driver close the door and started shouting that, you know, calling me names, calling me a shikse, calling me all kinds of curses in Yiddish. In the end, the driver called the police. In the meantime, the man just gathered people outside the bus, and there was like a mini riot, but it wasn't a riot because most of them were just curious people who wanted to see how a woman in the front of the bus looked like, right? And nobody spoke to me. I mean, it's not like someone came nicely to me and said, well, can you please go to the back of the bus? Maybe I would, you know, said no, but still nobody spoke to me. It made me angry. And then when the policeman came, he asked me if I was willing to respect them by going to the back of the bus. So I told him that I think I respected them enough by how I dress, which I don't think, I'm not okay with that either, but I don't think that, you know, humiliating yourself would honor anybody, so I wouldn't. So I just stayed put and everybody went down and just continued with the ride.
עומד מאחורי זה דבר אחד, ציווי התורה שאומרת לנו שאנחנו צריכים להפריד בין גברים לנשים. זה בגלל שהתורה מכירה בערך של האישה ובפחיתות של הגבר בעצם. שהגבר הוא, כשיהיה לו יצרים ושאין הפרדה, אז אנחנו רואים מה קורה, ולא צריך להביא לזה הוכחות. והתורה לכן ציוותה אותנו שאנחנו צריכים לעשות את ההפרדה הזאת. לא רק זה, כתוב בגמרא גם שאנחנו לא, למשל בשמחה, אנחנו נוהגים לברך על היין.
Το δικαστήριο του Ισραήλ έκρινε μετά από προσφυγή παράνομες ενέργειες των Υπέρ-Ορθόδοξων. Ωστόσο, σε κάποιες γραμμές, ο διαχωρισμός εξακολουθεί.
About the buses, there are laws. And the law is that it's okay for the segregation to take place as long as it's voluntary. If women want to sit in the back and men want, because for religious people, they do want the segregation. It is seriously voluntary. So it wasn't legal for anybody to address me and ask me to go or demand it. That's why basically the driver didn't speak to me at all, because he knew that he got an order not to.
לצערנו, התרבות המערבית, המתירנות, חדרה גם לפה לארץ. ויש הרבה יהודים שהם לא מודעים לערך של זה, הם לא מודעים לעניין הגדול הזה של ההפרדה. ולצערנו הם השולטים היום בשלטון, והם פסקו את מה שהם פסקו. זה לא הפריע לנו הרבה, כי כמו שאני לא אומר לבן אדם מה לעשות בבית שלו, אז ככה גם הם לא יכולים להגיד לי מה לעשות בבתי כנסת שלנו.
This is not a religious state. We're very democratic and we're very free. And I grew in a very, very free country. And the reason that there are radicals everywhere, all over the world. And this is something we have to fight, not each other.